What if I told you that the secret to changing the world was hidden in a simple task you probably do every single morning? So today, we're going to dive into the incredibly powerful lessons from Navy SEAL Admiral William H. McRaven's book, Make Your Bed. We're going to see how the absolute simplest acts of discipline can lay the groundwork to change your life, and yeah, maybe even the world.
I mean, it sounds almost too simple, doesn't it? Make your bed. But as we're about to find out, this one tiny act is really the first domino in a powerful philosophy of resilience, discipline, and ultimately, success. All right, so here's the game plan. We're going to walk through these lessons in 5 big themes that really build on each other, starting with just you and your own personal discipline, then moving to the power of a team, learning to face down adversity, confronting your biggest fears, and finally, developing a resilience that just won't quit.
Okay, so it all starts here, with the very first lesson of the day. A single, simple task that, believe it or not, sets the tone for absolutely everything else that follows.
You know, in SEAL training, the day doesn't kick off with some insane workout. Nope, it starts with an inspection. Your bed has to be perfect. And Admiral McRaven argues this isn't really about being neat. It's about kicking off a powerful ripple effect of discipline that you carry with you for the rest of the day.
Think about it. This first little chore is framed as your first win of the day. Finishing it gives you this tiny jolt of pride, and that pride creates momentum to tackle the next task and the one after that. It hammers home the idea that the little things really do matter. And here's the kicker. Even if you have a completely miserable day where everything goes wrong, you still get to come home to a bed that you made, a small piece of order in the chaos, a little bit of comfort you provided for yourself. Okay, so personal discipline is huge, but it's just a starting line. McRaven's next lesson shows how that personal foundation builds into the power of a team. Because, let's be real, no matter how disciplined you are, you can't paddle through life all by yourself.
SEAL training is just brutal, and it's actually designed to be impossible to finish alone. You have to rely on your boat crew, your swim buddy, your team. The lesson here is crystal clear. Success in anything hard depends on you trusting others to have your back, and, just as importantly, them trusting you in return.
And this brings up a huge lesson in how to build that team. McRaven quickly learned to look right past the superficial stuff. In training, it often wasn't the biggest, strongest guys who made it. It was the ones with this incredible courage and grit, the ones with the biggest heart. The takeaway here is huge. Build your team based on their character, not just what they look like on paper.
So you've got your team. Now what? Well, now it's time to face the inevitable. Life is basically a giant obstacle course, and it is not always fair.
Let me tell you about this thing they called the sugar cookie. An instructor could, for any reason at all, or no reason, order you into the freezing ocean and then make you roll around in the sand until you were covered head to toe. It was designed to test one thing: how you handle something that is completely and totally unfair.
And that's the big lesson, isn't it? You are going to face unfair setbacks. It's a guarantee. Getting stuck in self-pity or complaining about it, well, it changes nothing. The only way out is through. You accept it, you learn what you can, and you just keep moving.
And if the sugar cookie wasn't enough, there was this other thing called the circus. If your team didn't meet the standards on some event, you were ordered to do 2 more hours of brutal calisthenics while everyone else got to rest. It was meant to be a punishment, designed to break you down.
But here's where it gets interesting. McRaven and his crew found a different way to look at it. They actually started to embrace the circuses. They realized that all this extra pain was actually making them stronger, physically and mentally, than the teams who were resting. They literally turned a punishment into their biggest advantage.
So getting through hardship makes you tough, but McRaven's next lesson pushes you to do something with that toughness, to actively go out and confront the things that absolutely terrify you.
In SEAL training, one of the sketchiest obstacles was this long rope slide from a super high tower down into the water. The fastest way down, but also the most dangerous, was to go head first. And that's a perfect metaphor for life, right? Playing it safe will only get you so far. To really achieve something great, you have to take those calculated risks and push your own limits.
During a long-distance night swim, the trainees had to go through waters known for great white sharks. But the lesson wasn't really about marine biology. It was about confronting bullies, injustice, and fear in any form. So it really makes you ask yourself, right? What are the sharks in your life? What are those intimidating forces you'd really rather just avoid?
The training taught them that if a shark starts circling, you don't swim away. You stand your ground. You punch it right in the snout. Courage is a muscle. And the only way you strengthen it is by facing down the things that scare you most. You don't back down.
And that brings us to the final test. This is where all the other lessons, the discipline, the teamwork, the resilience, the courage, this is where they all get pushed to their absolute, and I mean absolute, breaking point.
During the notorious Hell Week, trainees spend days with almost zero sleep, constantly cold, wet, and just miserable. One of the absolute worst parts is the mudflats, where they have to spend hours buried in freezing, stinking mud with just their heads sticking out. The whole point of this exercise is to make you quit.
And at the absolute lowest point, with guys on the verge of quitting, one trainee started to sing. It was weak, it was off-key, but then another voice joined in, and another. That one simple act of hope in a moment of pure darkness was enough to lift the entire group. The lesson here is just profound. You have the power to give hope to others. You have to be your very best when things are at their worst, because sometimes your strength can become everyone's strength.
In the very center of the training compound, there's a brass bell. Any trainee, at any moment, can walk up to that bell and ring it 3 times. The second they do, they're done. They get a warm meal, a dry blanket, all the pain just stops. That bell represents the easy way out. It's the constant temptation to just surrender.
And this brings us to the ultimate lesson, the one that ties everything together in one simple, unwavering command. No matter how hard it gets, no matter how unfair it feels, no matter how much every fiber of your being is screaming at you to give in, you cannot give up on yourself. Don't. Ever. Ring the bell. And that's the whole philosophy, really. These huge concepts like confronting your fears and never quitting are all built on the foundation of one single completed task. It all starts with that one small win that gives you pride and gets the ball rolling. So the only question left is, what's your bed going to be tomorrow? What's the one small task you'll accomplish to start changing your world?